Hi, so I'm going to end up giving you guys this little project in which we will be using Pixlr, and we're going to just make a word and we're going to design the word. Here, I'm going to click on one of these. This is in Artsonia from a couple of years ago. It was called pattern text, or I call it textured text, in which, let me get bigger. So basically all we do is we pick a word. It could be a name, it could be a word, it could be a little phrase, and you're also going to find some sort of image that's going to relate to the word. So here we have positive, and there looks like a little field with a little sunset, and that is an example of what we're going to be doing. Here is another one. It says empty. And then inside it looks like a spacey kind of background. Colorful. Looks like a very similar background than the first one. Here's another one, very, very spacey, like a sunset or a twilight picture. And there's another one, football. So you get the general idea. You might notice that there's also some effects that are added, such as this might look like it kind of pops out like a bevel. There's some outlines, there's some glows and drop shadows and stuff. So there's all these effects that you can play with. There's also an example here that I just did a little bit ago. So again, it is an image, and I have an outline of white, and I have an outline of pink, and then I have a glow of yellow, and I even put a little drop shadow in it. So I'm going to show you how to do all of this, so you're going to create your own design of a word or a name. So as I said, we're going to be working in Pixlr. So what you're going to need is an image that is going to be reflecting whatever word or name or little phrase that you want. So you're going to need an image, and then you're also going to need, of course, what word or name you want to use. So we're going to open this up in Editor. We're going to go to Create New, and we're going to set this space up where you're going to be putting your text. We're going to set it up so it's kind of big. So we're going to have the width 3000. That's a number we've been using in the past, but the height is going to be a little shorter, so we could do 2000. You could try 1500, something like that, because we want this to be a wide rectangle. Then you're going to slide the background. You can pick pretty much whatever color you want, because you can always change it later, and I will show you how to, but I'm going to pick a blue. Okay, now we're going to be putting our text in here, and to do that you could click on the type tool and click, and it's going to ask, do you want to add a new text layer, and you can hit. Another way you can do this is you can hit the plus sign, and you could pick text. So this is a text box. You do not want the box to be wider than the space. And you can see it just types out some random words. I'm going to double click on the letters. Okay, so right now it's in the mode where I could do my editing. Here's the different fonts that you can pick. Here's the different colors you can pick. Don't worry too much about the color. You just want it to be different than your background for now, because you want to be able to see it. And the size. The size is important. Now, if I start dragging the size, you can see that my lettering is, of course, getting bigger, and you don't want it to be too big where it comes out of the text box. Okay, just like that. All right, now I'm going to double click on it, and I'm going to type out what word or phrase or name I want to use. I'm going to go with my name. Okay, there we are. So, and I didn't put a space. Usually there's a space after the period, but I want these letters to be really tight. So there's my typing. Again, you can adjust the size, and you want it to be spread pretty wide. You want this to take up, maximize the amount of space it takes up. That's pretty big. Here's your fonts. My suggestion is to pick a font that is thick. Nothing like real super skinny like this, because inside the letters where the black space is, that's where your image is going to be. So you want that to take up a lot of space. So Montour's nice, Mondetta's nice. I'm going to stick to the Najova, the one that I had. And I can spend a long time talking about text styles and fonts and stuff, but you know, you can definitely, you have a nice selection here. So let me go back to the one that I used. It started with an N. Najova. Okay, I like this one. Now, when you go to format, here's where you can make some changes. Line space is not going to make any difference because I only have one line of text. But watch what happens with letter space. I can spread them out, but for this project, I want these to be really, really close together. Even if you want to make them touching, as long as you could read it. But I'm going to make a little bit of space outside of it. Okay. You can make them all uppercase, which I recommend. You can also check out bold. Let's see. I'm going to make them a little farther apart. Yeah, I kind of like that. I'm going to keep it bold. It still has little dots for distress. I like that a lot. Okay. When you get to styles, this is where you can actually play around with curves and warps. So curve and warp are where you're going to explore. Don't explore anything in background, outline, or shadow, because any changes that you make, like if you put a drop shadow on it, it's not going to show up in your final design. So just curve and warp. So let's see. Curve, there's arc, there's circle, there's half. So let's see what arc does. So if you want to arc them, so of course if you want to arc your text, you're going to probably have to go back to format and spread them out a little bit. So just keep that in mind. You're going to have to make some changes here. And if I change the size or the format, if I spread them out, of course I'm going to make them like this a little bit more. So you can start making some decisions. I am not going to warp it. Let me go back to styles, or curve it rather. But let me go to warp now. And you can see the shapes that you can get. So you can warp it like this if you want. You can warp it like this. So just play around with these and see if there's something that you might like. I actually kind of dig that. And you can do the vertical offset. So absolutely you could play around with it. So I think I'm going to keep the offset. I like it symmetrical. Yeah, this looks pretty cool. So I think I'm going to go with something like that. All right. Again, I'm going to get it in the center. I'm not really too worried about getting it in the center of the page. I just don't want it to be off the side there. All right. So I've decided on what I want my letters to look like, and I played around with styles and stuff. Now I'm going to bring over the image. So you have one layer here. This layer 1 is nothing. You can actually delete it. Now I'm going to add a new layer, and this one is going to be an image. So I already picked out one high resolution image, and this is the one I'm going to go for, some art supplies, because I think I want to put this up in the art room. So I cannot see the letters. Of course, I can put the letters in front if I want, or I can keep them in the back. I want to be able to see through this, like to kind of figure out what part I'm using. So what I'm going to do is right click on the layers, and I'm going to right click on the layer, and you can lower the opacity. So what this will do is it'll give me an idea of what part of that image is going to be inside the letters. All right, and I think I like that. I want to get some of the points. I don't want it to be on the bottom here. I want to get some more points of the pencils and stuff. All right, and I like that. I'm going to X out. Okay, I'm going to bring back the opacity, and I'm going to reverse the order there. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to cut out these letters. I'm going to cut out the letters from this image here. Use the magic wand tool, and you're going to be on the layer with the letters, and you're going to select the letters. Now you can see it's only selecting one letter at a time, and you might recall this from Japanese notan. You can go to add to selection, and you can select all the letters separately. What you can also do instead of that is you can certainly uncheck contiguous. Contiguous means connected. So I'm going to select one black area, and notice that it selects all the black areas. So I'm going to make this invisible. Okay. I'm going to go to the layer with the letters, with the image. Now I have that selected, and so I'm going to cut, Command X, cut it from that image, and I'm going to paste it, Command V. So Command C and Command V. So all this stuff I don't need anymore. I can actually just go ahead and delete it. And here are my letters with my image inside there. I think I like that. Now if you don't like it, imagine you want to start again, you can just undo your, get to there, Command D, and then you can, place your letters someplace else. But I was very, very happy with that. So again, I'm going to select the letters using the magic wand tool, uncheck contiguous so you get all the letters, go to the background or the picture, Command X, Command V, there we go. And again, I'm going to delete that. All right, I can even delete the letters. I don't need them anymore. Now, this is when you're going to play around with some other sorts of effects. So I mentioned a glow, I mentioned a drop shadow. They're all located here. So you can try, I would not suggest inner glow because that's going to get onto your picture. But I do recommend playing around with outer glow, outline, drop shadow. Bevel, it will affect your project again, like it'll affect the image. So if you do want to use a bevel, just keep it nice and light. Bevel will make it look like it kind of is angled, like tiled. I would keep it very, very low key. I would keep the shadows real low if you're going to use that at all. Okay. But I am not. Filter, outline. Okay, so outline's pretty self-explanatory. You have the size. You have the opacity, so if you want it to be a little watery looking. You also can change the color by clicking on the white on that square there. If you want to sample a color that exists in your design, you can use this eyedropper. Like imagine if I wanted it to be this yellow right here. Okay, so you can certainly do an outline. All right. So that might be something I want to keep. If you want to try a darker color, if you want to just do black, I actually kind of like that. It makes it show up a little better. Okay, so I'm going to apply that. Now the thing is with these, if you decide to go with another outline, notice that they stack right on top of each other. So let's say I want to go with a red outline. And then if I go back and I want to do like an outer glow, so the outer glow is going to be added again to the outside. So you can do some really cool things. The one thing that you want to do very, very last, if you decide to do a drop shadow, do that last, because the drop shadow will affect everything, including your glow and stuff like that. All right. So I'm kind of liking that. And the last thing you're going to do, if you're very, very happy with it, by the way, if you need to make any changes, imagine you want to change the color of the glow, unfortunately you have to go back in your history to that part. You're not going to be able to, you got to get, before you do that outer glow, you have to go up in your history, and then you have to do it again. So if I wanted to do a different color. All right. So that's how that's going to go. And then I do like the drop shadow. I like the way it pops out. All right. That looks good. Okay. The last thing you're going to do before you turn it in is you're going to go to the crop tool, leave the constraint at free, and just crop out any extra space that you might have. Okay. Kind of get